Hello, today we're going to be working on page 26 and we have a new meter to learn. Meter and time signature are the same thing, those are synonyms. So when you see the word time signature, that could also be expressed as meter. Now the meter that we're going to learn today is called 6/8. And you may wonder, why would you put a time signature as 6/8 when you could reduce that fraction to 3/4? The reason why is that time signatures don't always necessarily function as fractions. And when you have a 6 or a 9 or a 12 as the top number of your meter, that tells you how many beats are in a measure, but it also tells you what the subdivision is of the beat. And so when you have 6/8 as your time signature, technically you have six beats in a measure, and the beats are eighth notes. However, you would only perceive that time signature as having 6 beats if it was at a very slow tempo, which sometimes happens, but more commonly you will get 6/8 meter in a faster tempo and you will feel 2 beats in a measure, and each of those beats will have a triple subdivision. So instead of counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, as we've done really pretty much so far, you would count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So when you have the meter of 6/8, you always have a strong beat on beat 1, and then also on the 4th eighth note of the measure. And when it's at a fast tempo, that's perceived as 2 beats, not 6. So 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a. And the reason that it is notated and marked as 6/8 is because that makes it so the dotted quarter note is functionally the beat when there are 2 of them. The dotted quarter note cannot be the bottom note value in a meter because there's no number that really portrays what a dotted quarter note is. We have to go to the eighth note for the metric division. So 6/8 is 6 eighth notes in a measure, but when it's 6/8, there's a strong beat on beat 4. If you have 3/4 time, that would be counted as 1 and 2 and 3, and there would be 1 strong beat on beat 1, and then beat 2 and beat 3 would also be stronger than the after beats. So the feel of 6/8 and 3/4 are very different, and as you get used to playing pieces in 6/8 and 3/4, it'll become very, very clear why you have to put some music in 6/8 and then other music in 3/4. It really has to do with where the accents are in the measure. I hope that makes sense. It is kind of complicated, and music is math, but we also need to remember that there's expression and feeling in music, and mathematically sometimes we need to make choices that emphasize what the feeling of the music is. So we're going to go ahead and start with rhythm rap. We're going to, on page 26, we are working on some slow tempo 6/8 pieces. So you really kind of get a feel of counting 6 beats in a measure, and you're going to feel all 6 beats at a slow tempo. But just remember, beat 1 and beat 4 are strong, and you're always in 6/8 going to see the notes beamed with 3 notes beamed together, which you would not commonly find in 3/4. In 3/4 you could have all 6 notes beamed together, or you could have notes beamed in groups of 2 or 4. Occasionally you'll see a beam of 3 beats, but in 6/8 it is always going to be 3 and 3 for the beams, and that shows you where the accent is in the very middle of the measure. So for the rhythm rap number 15, we're going to play this on our open D string. So remember that beat 4 is the strong beat. That is going to be an up bow, but you do want to try and emphasize it when you're playing. Okay, now we'll go ahead and do number 116, which is called Lazy Day. And notice that the songs on this page are in D major. So D major should be pretty simple and straightforward for your fingers. That'll really kind of give you a chance to get your mind and your bow working to play these new rhythms and in this new time signature. Number 117 17 is called Hooked on 6/8. We're using a hooked bowing, which is extremely common in 6/8. So instead of doing, when you have quarter note followed by an eighth note, instead of doing, you're going to do, and once you get used to hooking in 6/8, you're going to find that it's much, much more comfortable to play those rhythms hooked rather than separate bows. Although occasionally you will play separate bows on a rhythm like that, more commonly you would play it hooked. And it's going to feel a little different than the dotted 8th and 16th note hook that we did previously. So a 6/8 hook would sound like this. Dotted 8/16 would be more like this. So they're similar, but we really do want to make sure that we make it clear which one it is, whether we are subdividing in 3 notes or in 4 notes. Okay, the next one, number 118, Row, Row, Row Your Boat, is intended to be played in a round. I'm sure you probably have sung this in a round before. So I'm going to play it one time through with repeat alone, and then we'll do it in a round. And now here it is in a round, first at the tempo on the recording, and then we'll go ahead and play it at a faster tempo. Next we'll go ahead and play number 119, which is called slurring in 6/8 time. So remember, when you are slurring, you keep the bow moving between the notes. So hooks and slurs are a little bit different. If it's a hook with the staccato marks, you stop the bow on the string and then move it again in the same direction for the next note. But with slurs, you just keep the bow moving. Like that. Brings us to the last song on the page, Jolly Good Fellow, and this one features some hooks and some slurs. So watch carefully for whether or not there are staccato marks when you have a tie or a slur, and if so, that is a hook. for page 26, and on page 27 we are going to play some faster tempo 6/8 pieces that feel more like they're in 2 rather than being 6 beats in a measure. So I hope you enjoy playing 6/8. It's sometimes a little tricky to process when you're new to it, but 6/8 is very common in music, and there are certain songs that just have to be written in a meter such as 6/8. So once you get used to it, it'll be no big deal at all. I hope you enjoy playing these songs, and good luck and happy practicing.